Good morning, ladies. It's Shelley here, and I hope you are doing well this morning. I was going to talk this morning a little bit about the topic of what do you want to bring forth in 2019. I read something very interesting in a book in December, and it was a particular quote that really stuck with me. The quote was this: "If you bring forth that which is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, that which is within you will destroy you." That quote really stuck with me as I was looking back over the course of 2018 and thinking about the kind of things, the goals and the things that I want to do in 2019. And it really struck a chord with me, this idea of having things inside of you that either you bring forth and they benefit you, or that you keep inside and they hurt you, that they harm you. And there's 3 points I want to make this morning. The first one is, what is it that's within you that needs to be let out? And I really believe that things that are within us that are clamoring to be let out, that these are a source of frenzy for us frequently. And the things that are within us tend to fall within 3 areas. They tend to relate either to our home, to our relationships, or something that is within ourself. Now, the things that are within us that need to come out are going to be one of 2 things. They're either going to be something positive, because it's something that needs to be birthed, that needs to see the light of day. That may be an idea that you've had. It might be a plan. It might be a goal. But it's something positive that you and only you can bring into the world. And it doesn't need to stay squelched inside. That bringing it out will enhance your life and make it better. There also may be things within you that need to come out that are some of those negative things. And we all have them. We all have them. There's things sometimes within us that we just need to let go, that we need to set free, because they gnaw at us and they eat at us. And these can be anything from, my house is disorganized, my house is discluttered. There are expectations that you've put on yourself, either that you've put on yourself or that you have let someone else put on you, that maybe do not fit you, that do not serve you. But what is it that's within you that needs to be let out? And that's something I did a lot of thinking on in December. And to figure it out requires self-examination. And sometimes self-examination, at least for me, can be difficult. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes we look at things and we realize, I had a really big hand in that, whether it worked or whether it didn't work. But what is it that's within you that needs to come out? That brings me to a second point. Sometimes once we decide what it is that needs to come out, then we're thinking, it's not a big deal. Here's the thing. What it is that you need to bring forth, it does not have to change the entire world. But it will change you in some way. Now, we tend to discount sometimes those small changes that we make. We think, they're not a big deal. So what if I eat a little healthier? Or so what if I get the, clutter under control at my house? Don't undervalue small changes that we make. But don't undervalue those small changes. Here's the thing with change. Change inspires confidence in you. And change sometimes shows you the next step. Sometimes the hardest thing is getting started, because we know there's something in there that needs to come out and we don't know how. I've had that a lot in my life. I don't know how to get it out, and even what it is sometimes this kind of amorphous thing off over here. We just know there's something there. Also, here's the thing with change too. There's a ripple effect that goes along with change, and the ripple effect can be on you, and it may be on others too. Have you ever noticed sometime that maybe a friend goes on a diet and they lose a few pounds, and that has nothing to do with you, except that the ripple effect of her making a change and you seeing, she did this, maybe I can do this too. That ripple effect of change affected you because you felt like, okay, I can do that. When you then make a change in yourself, you can have that ripple effect on somebody else too. And sometimes we don't even know what that ripple effect is. You know, they talk about, throwing the pebble into the pond and watching all the ripples that go out. I truly believe that a lot of times the change that you make and the ripple effect, you never know exactly what the effect is that it's going to be on somebody else. But it may be something that motivates somebody else. There's that quote, be the change you want to see in the world. Sometimes we have to just be the change that we want to see in our own little world, you know. But here's another thing. Sometimes the change that we need to bring forth, it may sometimes be something big. I just talked about all the little things that we can make and that not to undervalue those. But let's also not run away from the fact that sometimes there is something big inside you that is clamoring to come out. And honestly, that sometimes can be the absolute scariest thing of all. Whether it's a huge idea, whether you want to go back to school, whether you want to change jobs, whether you want to go work for a nonprofit, whether you want to work for a cause, it may be something really big inside of you that needs to come out. And this is scary for several reasons. First of all, it requires change. And, most of us are scared of change. Change is uncomfortable. We don't like it. Most human beings will resist change. Not all. There's always people that love change. We try to keep from having that change. Big changes also require a real commitment. And sometimes we doubt ourselves. We're worried that, will I be able to actually do that? Will I be able to carry through? Will I be able to have the persistence, the consistency, the tenacity? All those doubts come out when we start thinking about the commitment that this particular change might make. And change requires us to leave that comfort zone. And unfortunately, I know way too much about comfort zones. I'll be honest, when I started, not the blog, okay, starting the blog was not necessarily a comfort zone that I had to bust out of. But I tell you, starting doing video was a comfort zone that I had to really convince myself that I needed to get past, because I didn't want to leave that comfort zone. I was scared to death of being on camera. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I figured other people are going to sit there and laugh, and they may. But comfort zones are sometimes very scary places to leave. Most of us are warm and happy in our little comfort zone, except for the fact that sometimes there's a little voice in there somewhere that's telling us we need to do something different. We spend a lot of time sometimes not listening to that little voice, So that brings me to my third point. Why are you hiding? What are we afraid of? And it seems to me that most of the reasons that we hide our light and that we don't bring forth those changes is because we have two kinds of fear. We have the internal fear and we have the external fear. And that internal fear is that fear of failure. I know a little too much about failure too. We're afraid that, I'll start this, and I've heard some people talk about this in the group. Well, I don't make goals, or I don't, do any of this because I always fail. I won't keep them anyway. That doubting ourselves that comes out again. So we have that internal fear that we won't be able to live up to it, and that then we will be disappointed in ourselves one more time. And who needs that, right? There's also an internal fear that comes with the thought that maybe, just maybe, you might be successful. It might work. You might decide to start that project and it might be great. And that's scary too. Because then how will other people react to that? What kind of disruption would it bring in our life if you wrote that book, or you went back to school, or you changed jobs, or whatever it was? What kind of change would that bring in your life? And that can be a really scary thing too. In fact, that can be so scary that a lot of times we decide we're not going to do it. It's just too much. We don't want to go there. But there's also that external fear, and that's that fear again of what will other people think? Will they laugh at us? Will they make fun of us? Will they talk about us? Will they just be sitting there waiting for us to fail so they can say, I told you so. I told you you couldn't do that. And you know what? The answer is any of those things could happen. All of those things could happen. There can be judgment from others. There probably will be judgment from others. You're going to get resistance. You may get pushback. You know, you may have people trying to sabotage any efforts to bring forth whatever it is. But I guess here's the question. You have to ask yourself, how much do you want it? Nobody but you can answer that question. Nobody but me can answer that question for me. How much do you want it? And then how do we deal with that fear? Well, you know, it's funny. If you're a mom, when you had that sweet little baby and you held it in your arms, you didn't expect it to automatically start crawling. That seems absurd, right? You didn't expect it at the age of a month to start walking. You expected that it would learn to roll over, and then it would learn to sit up, and then it would learn to crawl, and then it would learn to walk, and then it would learn to run. You fully expected that that sweet little child would have to take things in incremental steps to fully develop. But we don't give ourselves that leeway, do we? We expect ourselves to be able to do something absolutely first right out of the box. And then when it doesn't, then we get really hard on ourselves. You know, we may stumble. We may fail. But there is one thing I have learned about that, because I have failed at a few fairly big things in my life. And that's this. Failure doesn't kill you. Now, it may knock the props out from under you. Been there a time or two. It may knock the wind out of your sails. It may cause you to really step back and to re-examine, but it won't kill you. And once you get up again from being knocked down, you will figure out that you are stronger, you are more resilient, you are more persistent. You have all of those qualities in you that you just needed to realize, get up, you can do it. But you know, every step you take is a step in the right direction. And I will say this. I think at the end of our lives, the things that are the most scary, that cause us the most regret, are not the things we did. They always say that at the end of your life, it's not the things you did that you regret, it's the things that you didn't do. And with this, for example, with video and stuff, I finally had to get to the point to tell myself, okay, I may flub up. I'm no Victoria's supermodel on camera. I'm not the prettiest thing out there. I'm going to stumble over words. I'm going to boo-boo. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fall flat on my face, and I will get back up. Because I don't want to get to a point that I think, what if? What if I had given that a shot? So that leads me back kind of to the very beginning question. What is it that you want to bring forth? And I don't mean resolutions. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of a goal that you share with anybody else. But examine, as we start a new year, I think it's a great time to do that examination and decide, what do I want things to look like for me at the end of the year? Where do I want to be sitting this time next year? What do you want to bring forth? And when I say you, I am truly emphasizing the you part of that. This isn't something that hubby wants you to do, that your mom wants you to do, that your boss wants you to bring forth. What do you, what do we want to bring forth? And every woman's journey is different. Every person's motivation, their need, that thing inside that needs to come forth, that's different for everybody. And I look forward to seeing what 2019 has for everybody, okay? I think there's a possibility for it to be a really great year. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you this morning. I hope that you ladies have a great afternoon, and I will talk with you later.